Hello everyone, how are you doing today? This is Nurse Blue, America's Soul Health and Wellness Coach. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Listen guys, I want to come on here and talk about something that has been kind of going across my mind on a regular basis. I was like, you know what, I got to get out here and talk about this. You know, I just want to say that I believe the former Kanye West, because that's what he was named, and then he changed his name to Ye. And until I get used to calling him Ye, I might go in between Kanye West and Ye through this particular video. But I think he's probably one of the most interesting, fascinating, and courageous black men that have ever walked this planet, at least in my lifetime, which is why I want to have this conversation with you today about this, because guys, I am a nurse for the soul. So I am here to help elevate the vibrations of the soul, because really that's where healing takes place, when we elevate the frequency, right? What is healing? Healing, as far as I'm concerned, it's an elevated idea, elevated emotion, helps us feel better, helps us understand, helps us probably get on the same accord. So it's not about my opinion of Kanye or not. I'm just going to introduce some interesting ideas, because let's face it, he is so interesting, right? Now, I have always kind of peeked in on what's going on with Kanye for a few reasons. First of all, there's a commonality there. For those of you who may not be familiar with Nurse Blue, I'm originally from Chicago. I am a wellness coach that has a nursing background, and I specialize in soul health, right? So I told you that. The reason why I believe Kanye is one of the most interesting people of our lifetime is because we have been witnessing his soul evolve. For me, I would say since probably around 2004, 2005 is when I had come to learn of who Kanye West was as an artist, right? And coming from the south side of Chicago, and Kanye also being from the south side of Chicago, I was absolutely interested in this bright bulb that was emerging out of our city at the time. Well, he's gone on to do some of the most incredible things in his lifetime, with his music, with his career, with his choice of what family he aligned himself to, the Kardashians, with his ability to attract $1 billion in his lifetime, right? Then, of course, we've seen some of the decisions along the way. All of us have been kind of wondering, is he crazy? Is he free? And today I'm going to ask you, is he chosen? Okay? All right, so he's done some really, incredible things since he's been on this planet, right? But today, I just want to examine the concept of where Kanye is taking us. Because one thing I can appreciate about this young man is that he is fascinating. Why is he so fascinating? Because Kanye stirs your soul, right? Kanye is one of these people that gets in there and starts stirring you to see where you are with politics. Where are you with religion? Where are you with business? Where are you in your moral code? And it seems like when you have something that stirs your soul, it's causing all of us to examine how we see him moving into all of these areas where there have been some beliefs around, should we or should we not look at it from this way? And it appears that Kanye is so free in his way of being and his way of moving and the decisions that he's making in his lifetime with his creativity, that it's just causing all of us to go on this journey of his growth and evolution. And also we are growing in our soul, whether you believe it or not, if you're paying attention, right? Because that's one thing his life is teaching us to do, to pay attention to what we see, but most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, what we don't see. So what was absolutely fascinating to me, and this week, I came across a video on YouTube. And many of you may have seen it. If not, you're probably going to be seeing it, because what he said in this video was a few things that I wanted to explore right here. It appears that Kanye has reached a point in his life where he's just telling the truth, and he's not worried about how that's going to affect certain groups. It doesn't matter how it's going to affect his image or his money. He is releasing residue or toxins off his soul. And one of the things that he said that prompted me to come on here and have a conversation with you guys about it today is, he said he was dropping names of people who are owned in the industry, because what he was alluding to is that he's free, right? And he's going to speak his truth, and he doesn't care who they are sending. And he went on to mention names, Jay-Z and Beyonce and LeBron James, and he also mentioned Charles Barkley and Shaq and all of that. But what he made abundantly clear was that there was a dark side to the industry that he was in, that he is not participating, that he is dropping names, that he is not afraid, and most importantly, his mother was sacrificed. Did you hear what I said? And he went on to explain that his mother was sacrificed, along with Bill Cosby's son, along with, who else did he mention? I think he mentioned Whitney Houston or some others, right? Well, here's the thing. I wanted to come on here particularly to talk about that, because when you start hearing about things like sacrifice, right? When you hear about the word sacrifice, where is that mentioned? In the Bible. That's a spiritual process. Sacrifice. My mother was sacrificed. So this is absolutely so interesting, because guys, I am a music lover. Do you love music? That's really why I appreciate Kanye, because of his immense contribution to hip hop over the years. He is an absolute genius, right? And as a music lover, someone who has studied music, someone who's my family, our business was in the entertainment industry. Even though my father's radio station evolved into a talk station, it originated out of a music format, and my father was a big DJ. So I actually sat on his lap as he was on the air introducing music to the Chicago listening audience, and he gave me that gift of music. So music is something that is extremely important to me. And even in my work that I do in the world as a soul health and wellness nurse coach, music is a modality that I use to help to elevate the frequencies of the soul. Okay, so music is so important to our life, guys, and that's why Kanye is so important, and that is also why what he said was so powerful, because the industry itself, the music industry itself, has been a major force in altering, touching, programming the souls of humanity. Okay, and what's interesting is that when Kanye decided to mention some key figures in this industry and the word sacrifice brought me into a space of having a conversation from a spiritual point of view, because that's where you see sacrifice, right? It's a ritual that usually took place in the Old Testament. If you guys are people who own a Bible, maybe you might want to open it up. You hear one of the most favorite stories of sacrifice was in the Old Testament when Abraham was asked to go and sacrifice his son Isaac, but then there was a ram in the bush, and so it didn't quite take place, right? So when Kanye mentioned his mother was sacrificed, that is a ritual that is spiritual in nature. Now, guys, listen, I am not here to teach you the Bible, but for most people, we're familiar with sacrificing stopped when the New Testament when there was a coach, a life coach named Yeshua. Most people call him Jesus. He was a life coach. He came here, and part of his assignment on the planet was to sacrifice his own life so we didn't have to do any more sacrificing. However, there's sacrificing that's obviously still taking place, and perhaps Kanye knows about that life, right? Now, Kanye is a bona fide genius, okay? Geniuses don't think like the average person. So if you think he's crazy, it's not that he's crazy. He's probably operating from his genius space, okay? All right? Now let me just explain something to you guys. There are a lot of people who are life changers, or there are a few people who are game changers, okay? So let's talk about a few of them. Steve Jobs, okay? Steve Jobs, I'm sure they called him crazy, and then they realized he was a genius. Let me give you another one. Probably Einstein. Most people probably thought Einstein was crazy first, and then they called him a genius when they turned on his lights. Thank God we have Einstein, right? Or, you know, you name it, if they help to change. Oh, here's a big one, Muhammad Ali. Before Muhammad Ali became Muhammad Ali, he did what actually Kanye did. He changed his name to Muhammad Ali. He decided he no longer wanted to be associated with Cassius Clay. Well, during that time, there was a lot of resistance to the fact that he wanted to change his name, and he wanted to change his religion, and he wanted to be acknowledged a certain way. And people thought he was cray, guys. They thought he was crazy. He was a genius, right? So probably what's going to happen, maybe not in this season of life, but in years to come, people are going to look at what Kanye has created with his art, because not only is his art music, his art is everything he chooses to express, and he got a lot of us talking about it, so it's highly effective, whether you like him or not, whether you believe in his politics, his political statements, his choices of relationships, his business practices. It does not matter your opinion of him. He got all of us talking. At some point, somebody's going to say, that Kanye, yes, he's a genius. And I'm telling you right now, he's a genius. Now, to understand the mindset of a genius, guys, you have to understand what created it. Where did that seed come from? Well, let me tell you about our home. When I say our home, I'm speaking of my hometown and Kanye's hometown, Chicago. We both are lovers of Chicago, and here's why. I'm changing music because I got to have some music in the background. You know, I'm kind of a genius and crazy too. But Chicago is a interesting city because at the heart of who we are, and I'm not speaking of everybody, I'm just talking about bona fide Chicagoans, right? We are a city that is made up of both artists in all kinds of ways, right? Artists, because we're known for great food. That's an art. We were known for great music. That's an art. We're known for architecture. That's an art. I mean, we're known for great museums and our beautiful skyline. I mean, a lot of great things, right? But we are also known for our activism throughout the years, right? So both of those two major things live within the life of Kanye, right? Kanye is fighting for something, right? And as I see it, I think he's fighting for truth. I think he is fighting to express before our own eyes how his soul is evolving. Now, what's interesting is that when Kanye came into the music industry, one of the songs that I was attracted to, because I knew this was a different kind of artist when you walk into this industry with a song called Jesus Walks. I was like, let me see what Mr. West, where's he going with this? But that's when I was introduced to the fact that he was coming from a very conscientious mindset, that he had been introduced to truth on a spiritual level, and he was about to take us through this road with him. So I got that right off. I don't know if you guys caught that, right? But he went into the industry when his first album with Jesus Walks There. So I knew he had a different kind of assignment than maybe some of his rap colleagues who went in with an assignment of using their voice and their expression to incite violence, or using their voice of expression to speak about what's going on out here in the streets. I knew from Kanye, his was deeper than that, and then he also had a deeper intention, right? So coming out of a city that produces activists and creativity, to go a little bit further into how did this young black guy from Chicago attract this much attention, this much prestige, this much abundance, this much controversy to his life? Well, let's think about this. Let's examine not the seed, let's examine his mother, Donda West, okay? Now, I don't know Kanye. I don't know his family. I do know some very close friends of his. We have mutual friends that he's close with. But what I did hear and know of from a distance was about his mother, Donda West, who was a professor in Chicago, who was a very conscientious, loving soul. And I can say this because she had friends that I knew, and I had a you know how people can tell you some things about their friends, and you can have an appreciation for the kind of person they were. And then, interesting enough, remember years ago, guys, when Kanye had made that statement about President Bush and black people? Okay, that was when Katrina had hit. Well, my former husband actually was brought into, had an opportunity to work with Donda West and organizing the team for Kanye to go to, at that time, it was Texas and Louisiana. No, it was Texas. He wanted to go down and be on the field himself to see how Katrina had impacted the lives of the people in Houston. And so I think they went to the Astrodome and they went to a church and that sort of thing. And my ex-husband was a part of organizing that with Donda. So that's another association. And what I had learned about that just from third party, okay, is that Donda West was an incredible woman who poured love, unconditional love, conscientiousness, meaning knowledge of self, and she was intentional about nurturing this young man into an unlimited being. So he did not grow up with marginalized thinking, okay? And even my former husband would say that he's a deep intellectual when he met him and worked with him during that time. So I knew right then this was a special kind of, this was a special person, because when a young man has the opportunity to be unconditionally loved by a woman who, number one, knows the power from an infinite standpoint, and she can pour that into her son when she knows who she is as an African American woman or a woman of color or a woman from African descent. She's pouring all that into her son. And when she's coming from a pure loving place, then at the end of the day, he got the goods. It didn't matter how much money they had or not, because she gave him the goods to go and attract what he eventually attracted, right? And also, there are a few people who I knew that had the pleasure of being in Miss West's company, and who also received the love, the support, the emotional and mental investment. She invested in the soul of Kanye at a very early age. and also friends around him, as I hear. So she was absolutely incredible being a single woman and was able to nurture him in this way. Oftentimes I hear about unfortunate circumstances where, and I know personally, where mothers, they didn't do that. Where the love was not there, the attention was not there, the consciousness was not there. So we're showing you, this is a demonstration of when that is done, what can be created with no judgment, good, bad, or what have you. What we all can say is that Kanye West, yay, is an amazing bright light on this planet, no matter what you think about him. And Donda West should be commended for that kind of, for the light she poured in him. Okay, so with that being said, we have to also look at the fact that Kanye said she had been sacrificed. And what that meant to me was something underhanded happened in her life in an industry that he was exposing. That's enough to probably, in the most sane people, living with that every single day, that probably would drive you a little bit mad inside. If you thought, or you knew, or you had to live with the fact that someone who gave you all of the elements that you needed to be successful was sacrificed, and that you knew other sacrifices was taking place. Guys, let me explain something to you. It's never what it seems like on the surface. And whether you agree with Kanye West on some things or nothing, we certainly understand that he has gone to the top of this mountain on this planet. And he has certainly been in a lot of different experiences that none of us will probably have the opportunity to have. That means he has a lot of knowledge, he has a lot of wisdom, and he's going to see life differently, because here's what makes him seem like he's crazy. He is seeing life from an unprogrammed mental space. He's seeing life from an unprogrammed emotional space. He is seeing life from his birthright, meaning he is free in his thinking. And sometimes when you are free in your thinking, when everything around you has been programmed, might show up to look like you're crazy, right? We don't see that often. But what I am really seeing for myself, as I am looking at this with no judgment, is that Kanye West is probably the most courageous black man that ever walked the planet. To just share some of the things that he has shared out loud. He got us thinking, he has us examining, he also has us wondering about things. And even when you get mad, you might get mad at him for a political view or a social statement or something that really stirs your soul, you got to ask yourself, why is this bothering me so much? And you have to own that you allowed his opinion, his statement, his idea to trigger that level of emotion. And then you need to ask yourself, how can I look at this differently? What can I learn from him? Most of these people in the industry that we're speaking of, God, they would never, ever say anything to expose anything that could possibly impact their paycheck or impact their next movie or impact their next business deal. He put it all out there on the line. And the reason why he's not worried about losing all the money, because he knows he can make it again, because he is free. And she gave him, meaning his mother, she gave him the codes to attracting all of that out of a space of abundance. So I just want you to think of it a little bit differently. And also, in bringing this to a close, we're living in some deep spiritual times, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to see a lot of our systems change. And we're going to have to learn how to navigate the changes of these systems, right? We're watching it every day. But here's what I can tell you. The times that we're living in the times of judgment and harvest. Whatever you plant into the soil must come out, right? Must spring up, right? Whether that's good or bad. We also, when you think about the law of karma, what you put out there, it's got to come back. So if there were any lives, like Kanye West's life, that was sacrificed on behalf of evil, on behalf of anything, if that is true, what Kanye said, there's a lot of stuff in the music industry that's about to change because the harvest is here. And maybe, perhaps Kanye, what he's sharing with us is a prophetic message. I don't know. Just think about it. Whether you agree with him or not, what he just shared this week was pretty powerful, guys. He certainly got the world talking. What do you think about it? Okay? All right? Do you think he's crazy? Do you think he's free? Or do you think he's chosen for this assignment? Thank you, Kanye. You have my brain doing this. You're keeping life interesting. You're stirring our souls out here. We are watching you come into a higher understanding of self, and we're watching your soul evolve, and I guess all of ours are evolving with yours. I don't know, but it certainly gave me an opportunity to come on here and have a great discussion about some deeper things that we can learn from. Okay, guys, I look forward to your comments. Keep them nice because, I'm a nurse and wellness coach. I know some things that don't you put any bad comments down here because to come back to you 7 times. Okay, have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.